I think the name of individual. This was Ms. O'Flammer wanted me to dedicate to have some learning who passed away a few years ago. So we want his neshama should have an aliyah to our learning also. Okay, so I wanted to share. I mean, some muting here to make sure there's no feedback. Oh, here. Okay. If you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself to ask. But in light of what we said last time, we're speaking about the very deep and difficult concept that light is meant to be experienced through darkness, meaning that even if we go through difficulties in life, through challenges and suffering and pain, there's a way to use it in a way that it becomes, I don't like to use the word pleasure, but we are able to still have a sense of happiness through those challenges. As we know, there's no challenges that is not for a specific purpose, and therefore, if we understand the big picture, which we can't fully understand, we understand that there is a big picture, we're able to actually transcend life, transcend our pain, suffering, darkness, and reach out to the light hidden within. In Kabbalah, they speak about that all the time. It is the essence of spirituality, to hide in the physical. So we go through physical, difficult challenge, emotional, physical, and within the body, behind the emotions is a sphera, behind the emotions behind the body is the soul that is awakened, and we are able to tap into the light and transform the whole channel into light. Now, if we ask, why is it like this? Why is the world this way? So one of the reasons is what happens with Adam Arishon with the Etz Hadas, is that Adam Arishon and Chava clearly wanted to eat from the Etz Hadas. There's something that they saw there that they felt will help them be like Hashem, like the snake proposed. Everybody wants to be like Hashem. We want to emulate Hashem. It's part of our own innate desire. Everybody wants to feel that sense of power, unity, and love. But they felt by eating the Etz Hadas, they would be able to achieve that level even on a high, achieve this on a higher level. So what was the consequence of the Etz Hadas? The consequence of Etz Hadas is that it was the choice to experience light through darkness. It's the split, right? That is what enables you the knowledge to recognize one thing and the other. So the more contrast you have, the more you're able to understand and know what the thing is. If the only thing you know is water, then you don't know what it is to be outside of water. Once you're outside of water, you can understand better the quality of water. Therefore, there was a binary world created. I mean, it was hidden into the beginning of creation, because the creation started with Bereshit, with Bet, two, right? Heaven and earth. So spiritual and physical. So when Adam Harishon ate from the tree, although there was a dual existence already, he stretched out that difference. He stretched out the difference between light and darkness, truth and false. So he decided, I'm going to experience God by experiencing a world of where no God, where I can barely see God. I'm going to experience my soul by experiencing myself mostly as a body. I'm going to experience the spiritual by being in the physical. I'm experiencing light by going into the darkness. And I'm going to experience pleasure by experiencing suffering. So one feed the other. However, the challenge is that Adam Rishon still did a mistake, because God told him not to do that, because he could have achieved that same level by trusting God and following the way God's direction. God means the best for us. But we chose that direction. We chose to be in a world like that. We chose to be in a world where to have light, we need to go through more darkness. And now our whole world for the past 6,000 years has been struggling with that binary state of the world, dimension, where we're constantly stretching between good and evil, and light and darkness. Therefore we put onto ourselves a heavier load of darkness, so to speak, that we need to work on in order to achieve the full light. And all the challenge we go through now fixes that, so that we can be rebalanced, right? Like the Ramchal said at the beginning, there was an unbalance after the sin. So darkness and physical became more tangible and stronger. The forces of evil looked like they were taking over. And now, now we're at the end of creation, where we're almost going to experience the extreme of it, because we're here to fix it. So how do you fix it completely when you go all the way at the end of darkness to the deepest darkness possible, and then seeing that even there's the greatest light. So that's the Ramchal speaks in Das Tvunos at the end, that it's the necessary process. The only way we can rectify the world is that way. Now, do we have to go through so much suffering? No, it depends on us. There's a way to do it in a way that if we recognize that everything is light, everything is good, while we constantly strive to live a life of Gamzu Letova and everything is good, which is extremely hard, then we'll be able to experience it without going through so much pain. But it requires tremendous clarity, knowledge, and balance within oneself to be able to look at the world like that and live that way. So tzaddikim, people who are very righteous, are able to experience that. Okay, so and that's the source for the idea of Yisur Hava. What's so special about the tzaddik is that tzaddik, the ultimate tzaddik, is able to experience pain and suffering and say, this is because God loves me and I accept it, and he's able to transform that whole darkness into light. So for regular people like me that cannot be on that level, he is able to help us do the same thing, and he takes more than us in order to be able to bring the world to complete perfection and fruition. And interestingly, we're coming now is the 9 days, and the 9 days was the darkest moment of the year, but they were supposed to be the highest moment of the year. The 3 weeks that are the darkest on the calendar were originally supposed to be the most powerful light in the world. And as we know, the 3 weeks in Kabbalah correspond to Keteh Chochma Bina, or Chochma Bina Dat, which are the 3 top spheros of the head. And then after we have 7 weeks of consolation, which runs to the 7 lower spheros. So we are now at the moment where this is really what we're trying to experience. And that's why Dafka, during this time when there's supposed to be tremendous light, that's when there's a tremendous darkness, and the forces of judgment, strict din, are at its full power. And this is why at the end of those 3 weeks, if we're able to really maintain the clarity that light is always there behind the darkness, that the spiritual is always there behind the physical, then we give birth to Moshiach. And that's why Moshiach was born on Tisha B'Av. Actually, the Gemara says that, I think it's the Gemara or Midrash, says that on the day of, I forgot who it was. It's not Nebuchadnezzar. It's the other one, the Roman, who entered into the, on Tisha B'Av, he entered into the Kadosh Kadoshim, and he slept there with a prostitute in the holiest place on earth. He does the most disgusting thing. And it says at the same time that he did that, a woman was screaming, giving birth to a baby, and that baby was Moshiach. That was the first time Moshiach was born. So we see at the darkest hour is where the biggest light is born. It's a very important concept, because as now we come to the end of time, time as we know it, we're going to be challenged with this concept, and we have to be ready for it and not be scared. The world is going to go into confusion. The world is going to go into, it's going to be scared, and those who have the clarity, understand there's a plan to God and that there's light behind it, will be able to survive the days of Moshiach. Survive the day of Moshiach doesn't necessarily mean that we have to live and die. It's survive mentally and emotionally to stay stable. Okay, enough talking from me. Let's listen to the Ramchal, who is the master. So let's see what he says. So that was just an addition to last shiur class that we spoke about. All right. So it says the Ramchal in section chapter 1, section 4, 7. Everything that man should do can be divided into two categories. First, there is what he does as the result of a commandment. The second is what is done out of necessity. We have a direction in life. We have a goal. Our main goal is to come close to Hashem. There's only two types of action: commandments and just the regular thing of everyday life. But everything of regular life should be things that connects me also to the purpose, so that everything I do during my day has a direction, has a target, has a purpose. We should not live a life like most of the world, like I can say most of the world, but like a lot of the world lives, which is, okay, I wake up, okay, it's a good day, what should I do today? I don't know what I'm doing with my life, I'm bored. There's no such a thing for a Jew. A Jew, there's a mission. We know we're here for something. We're here to come close to God. So whether it's mitzvot or it's not mitzvot, everything has to be connected toward that purpose. The first category includes all the divine commandments. The second includes everything that man does while making use of the world to satisfy his needs. So those are the two, so to speak, the spiritual way and the neutral way, physical way that he's going to say can also become spiritual, infused with the spirituality. The purpose of the divine commandments has already been discussed, namely that man should obey God's orders and fulfill his will, which is to become one with him. In doing so, he conforms to God's will in two interrelated ways. First of all, he obeys God's will in doing what he was commanded to do. And secondly, however, he also perfects himself to that certain degree associated with that particular commandment. So he fulfills the commandments. He does what Hashem's will is. So he connects himself this way. But on top of that, it has an effect on him that it's perfecting him. So there's a double portion, so to speak, double reward in a way. In doing so, he's conforming to God's will all the more, since God desires that man be perfected and attain the enjoyment of his good. Now, man's use of the world for his own needs, however, should also be circumscribed by the limits imposed by God's will and not include anything forbidden by God. So I'm going to use this world. This world is neutral. It can be used for good or for bad. I just had a thought now, actually, I believe it's very true, is that on one sense, why do we have the commandments? Abraham didn't have commandments. Before the Torah, they didn't have commandments, but they say they were lived, they say Abraham was fulfilling all the commandments. a controversial holy rabbi, the Ishbitzer Rebbe, which was the Rebbe from Rav Tzadok Cohen from Lublin. He wrote Mea Shiloach, and Rav Shlomo Carlebach was very into him. He considered him his Rebbe. He says that technically once you become a tzaddik, you don't need the commandments. The purpose of the commandments is to behave a certain way. If you want to behave a certain way, you don't need to do the commandments. So, because every commandment is to transform you, to become someone who is Derek Hashem. If I'm Derek Hashem, I don't need the commandment anymore. But that's almost no one. It's only individuals like Avraham Avinu. So we say we still need to do it today, even though you're a tzaddik, because we have to they have to be role models. But what it means is that here you have two sides. We have the commandments, and then we have the natural thing of life. Those commandments are like the training, so that when we go in the natural things in life, we naturally use life, the natural, in our own way, to do something very, meaning to elevate it. So almost as to say that being able to use life and the physical world, the natural things of life, the right way is a higher level than just doing the commandments. He's not saying that, I'm saying that, but we know, like for example, I give an example to strengthen my claim. Rav Kook says that the greatest mitzvah of Ve'ahavta L'Recha Kamocha, the climax of that mitzvah is to achieve the love even of a non-Jew. And there are many commandments that, we say, okay, oh yeah, obviously they're not true, but we have to understand what it means. There are people who say that, oh yeah, with a non-Jew, yeah, it's okay to speak Lashon Hara. No, it's not okay to speak Lashon Hara. However, it says that you're not necessarily punished the same way for speaking Lashon Hara about a non-Jew. Or that if it's a non-Jew, you don't have to return the money you found, Shabbos Aveda. To a Jew, you have to. To a non-Jew, you don't have to. And many other commandments like that, where it seems there's an injustice that with Jews, oh, we have to be super loving and holy, but with the non-Jews, oh, it's not as, you don't have to be as careful, you don't have to be stringent. Why is it like that? It is like that for the very opposite of what people think. It's not because it's a lower madriga or that. On the contrary, the whole purpose is to elevate the physical world. The whole purpose is to actually be trained with mitzvahs, with Jews, with our family, to see, to create a holy community, in order learning how to interact on the perfect way, so that when I go in the world, when I go in the physical, when I go with the non-Jews, I'm able to do the same without being commanded. So if I train of loving my brother Jew or sister, so I achieve a level. I want to see now if it's natural. Did it become part of me, or am I only doing it to have a point, a special mitzvah? So I got to check how I'm going to know if it's part of me, it's real me. Then I'm going to be thrown out into the non-Jewish world where I don't have the punishment, so to speak, or I don't have the mitzvah to do it. And then let's see if now I'm also able to love the non-Jew. Let's see if now I'm returning the money, even though I'm not technically obligated. Did you become someone who is a lover? Did you become someone who is a giver? Did you become someone who cares about absolutely every creature? So that it's almost like they say the whole trend, the mitzvot outside of Israel is just a training. Rav Kook says that. The real action of the mitzvot, the full power of the mitzvot becoming real and fulfilled, is when you go to Israel and you do them. Right here, we're practicing. When we go into Israel, we're supposed to practice, and that's really what's happening. That's our challenge is to go into the physical and take the things that are neutral, where we're not even commandment, and become the tzaddik even in those cases, and do the will of God even in those cases. So I believe that's one of the reasons we have those neutral things, and why not everything is a mitzvah. Now, it should be, so why should we, what should be the motivation that for doing things out of necessity, the regular needs of every day? It should be motivated by the need to best maintain his health and preserve his life, and not merely to satisfy his physical urges and superfluous desires. That's the challenge. Did you become someone who naturally wants to be spiritual? So let's see. It's easy to be spiritual when you're yeshiva. We're Beis Yaakov. If you learn all day and you're spiritual, but can you be spiritual in the middle of Times Square or in the middle of the whatever physical work, right? At the gym, can you be spiritual at the gym? Can you be spiritual in business? So one's motivation in maintaining his body should furthermore be so that the soul should be able to use it to serve its creator without being hampered by the body's weakness and incapability. So when man makes use of the world in this manner, this in itself becomes an act of perfection. Or you think maybe the only perfect act is when you do a mitzvah. No, he's telling you, and it's feeding to everything we say, when you go in the world and you do something physical, that physical thing can become perfect too. It becomes as great as a mitzvah. And through it, one can attain the same virtue as in keeping the other commandments. That's what we're saying before. Even though I'm not commanded within using the world and everyday needs, and not that directly, at least it's not obvious. He's going to say that there's actually a commandment connected to that, but I'm able to just go and transform all my actions into commandments, because they all become the wheels of God. So indeed, one of the commandments requires that we keep our bodies fit so that we can serve God, and that we derive our needs from our environment to achieve this goal. So I'm practicing my mitzvot, I become very holy, then I go into the secular world, the secular life, the everyday mundane thing, and I transform all this also into something spiritual. And the Ramchal in the end of Mesilas Yesharim said that's someone who is holy. You want to know if you're holy? You're not holy just in yeshiva. Yeah, you can be holy, but you want to be truly holy on the highest level? Go in the world and be holy in the world. Be the light into the darkness. Be the spiritual into the physical. So in this manner, we elevate ourselves even through such activities. The world itself is also elevated, since it is then also helping men to serve God. So we see how it's a double-sided coin. Well, every coin is double-sided, but it's a coin with those two facets of the coin where really it goes one in one. The mitzvahs are here to help us transform ourselves so that I can go into the world and transform everything I do physical into mitzvah. And we elevate the whole world like that. So, okay.
An example.
An example? Well, I will give the best example. I think that usually given by Mikubalim or the Ramchal is just eating food, right? So you're going to eat food. So eating food is extremely animalistic. So you can think someone goes, oh, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat food. So I'm eating food and so I feel good about myself. It's pleasurable and it's great. My body is happy. And let's assume I only eat what's healthy for me, but I didn't do anything specific now. I didn't do anything holy. I didn't elevate the food. It was not a mitzvah. But if I go to eat and my intention when eating, and understand that the reason I'm hungry is because I was given an opportunity to take the physical world and put it into me and transform it into something higher. As we know in Kabbalah, there's 4 levels: Domem, Sameach, Behema, and Medaber. So when I eat the minerals of vegetable, plants and animals, and I put it into me, then it becomes a level of the Medaber. When I'm using that energy, I'm going to be able to serve God or do things. So when I'm conscious that what I'm doing when I eat is not only I'm aware, it's just I choose to eat, not just because I'm hungry. I choose to eat because I want to use that action to connect to God and to grow spiritually and to elevate the world and to transform myself. Then at that very moment, that food becomes a korban. It becomes a mitzvah. It's not I'm just eating like a non-Jew would be eating, someone who just eating as just for the sake of eating, because then you're not different than an animal, you're not different than a non-Jew. So there, by choosing to eat for a specific goal, specific purpose, with the right intention, then that intention gives life and spirituality to the mundane, and you're able to do an action that becomes a holy and a mitzvah.
Rabbi, what did you say the 4 levels were again? I'm sorry.
Is domem, which is minerals, sameach, which is plants, and then there's behema, which is animals, and then there's medaber, which is the man, Adam, who speaks. So all food comes into those categories. When if we eat a cow eats grass, and the grass eats water, minerals. So therefore, you have all those 3 in it, and then you eat it. Then you're elevating all 4 levels of creation. So Mikubalim, who want to live on a very high level and want to elevate their food on a high level, making a spiritual experience, that's what they focus on. That's what they imagine. Then they have in mind. You know, something we forget is that our imagination is real. It's like daydreaming. Sometimes you feel it's real and you even move from what you imagine, right? The greatest power of the human being is imagination. Therefore, when he imagines that and has that kavana, he's transforming the world into what he's imagining.
Isn't that what the brachot are for? They're to set the intention for you?
Yes, Alevai, that people understand that brachot are for that. I thought it was just a permission. God, I'm hungry. Can I eat, please? It's like you tell a kid, please. We don't want to. Ideally, yes, you're right. That's what we want. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't say the brachos with that in mind. But you're right. This is a bracha. It's a preparation to be able to do the act with holiness and to have the intention to elevate what we ate.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
How would you apply that to gym?
The gym? Well, as he said, what do you say? That there is a mitzvah to, one commandment requires that we keep our bodies fit so that we can serve God. So why am I going to the gym? Why am I exercising? I'm exercising because I need my body to be strong enough to learn and to serve God and to go in the world, to be a Kiddush Hashem, all that. So as I am exercising, I'm being conscious. That's like we should have a bracha before we go to the gym. Thank you, Hashem, who gave me, or blessed are you, God, who gave me muscles and strength and power and a physical body. And I should be able to use my body, muscles, and energy to serve you better. And therefore, I'm going to the gym for that purpose. So as you're at the gym and you're running and you're sweating, all that, this whole thing becomes a holy experience. And unfortunately, we have a tendency not to look at the world like that. We tend to keep it separated. And that's what some religions do. Oh, like Buddhism is, I'm only in the mountain meditating all day. Oh yeah, but can you have the nirvana also when you're working in Times Square or like whatever? Well, I say Times Square because it's very physical, a lot of physical light and all that. But right, can I be? It's very nice to be, a priest and not have any contact with women and be very holy. But can you actually be with a woman and be holy while you're with a woman? Again, it's all about learning that every physical things, even Yetzirah, even every physical, emotional desire is here as a potential for us to direct in the right way, to elevate and have a right purpose for it, right? So that absolutely everything that exists in the world is going to the same direction. Okay. Okay, so now he says something interesting right now. He brings this many times, but here right after that, he brings a chapter specifically on Ahava and Yira. One other thing that one must strengthen within himself is his love and awe of God. People translate as fear, Yira. So his love and awe, Ahava and Yira. He should consider the unimaginable loftiness of God and the great lowliness of man, and humble himself before God, standing in awe before his greatness. He should then yearn and desire to be among those who serve him, to exalt in his praise and be exalted by his greatness. The love and yira of Hashem are powerful means which draw an individual close to God. Then they enlighten the physical darkness in man, cause his soul to radiate in all its brightness, and thus elevate him step by step until he attains a state of closeness to God. So that's why, so everything we spoke about before is depending a lot on his Ahava and Yira. That's why I always tell people, you have to fall in love with God. It's not just a nice thing to say. You really have to love. Did you as a human experience falling in love or rising in love with another human being? Yeah, you know how it feels. You know the passion, that desire, that's what you have to use for God. That's what is going to enable you to. It's not just an emotion. It's an emotion connected to a sphere, but it's connected to your soul. So that emotion that is Ahava and Yira, once it grows and becomes stronger, it elevates everything you do, because now everything you do it out of awe and love. It's like someone who is in love with someone else. So his whole day, he's, why am I eating lunch at midday? I'm eating lunch because I want to have enough strength to do my work and then come back home to be with my spouse. Why am I getting fit? I'm getting fit because I want to be strong for my spouse, so I can carry her or whatever, or do whatever she needs me to do, and to be attractive to her. So anything that we do has to be in a level of love and a level of yira. And unfortunately, it's not taught enough. I mean, we know we suffer from sinat chinam. Again, we don't learn how to love. We should be spending weeks and years learning love. What is love, right? All you need is love. That's very nice. But what is love? We need to understand what it is. And I think people are confused on what true love is. Ahava is more than just an emotion. It's a commitment. It's a devotion. It's a breeze. It's a trust. And the reason why so many marriages suffer is because they never experience love. They just experience their moods and emotions and their attractions, but really growing together in strength, in dedication, in trust, in wisdom, in project, and all those things are part of Ahava and Yira. And Yira is even about learning more about the individual. Do couples try to go deeper within each other, trying to understand each other deeper throughout the years to achieve real Yira of each other, to realize what a great soul is behind that body, and becoming one with that soul. So that's what most people don't work on that. It's hard for people. People don't like to open it. It's uncomfortable, but that's the whole thing that we're supposed to do with God. Can you understand really who God is and how great He is, and how to become one with Him, how to relate to Him? So that he says, that little paragraph right here is right after that part where he says, you know, everything you do should be infused with that. That's the energy that's going to change everything. That all the mitzvot you do, all the natural things you do should be part of that relationship with God, that and it should be part of enhancing that ahava and that yira that you have with him. We're here to know God. That's what we're going to be doing when Moshiach comes. The Rambam says all day long we'll be learning about God. So it's like, imagine, you don't want to know what Olam Haba is? I'm going to put you with your spouse, and now for eternity you're going to learn how to get to know each other. So some people will say this is hell. No, some people, they come late at home so that they don't have to deal with their wife or their husband. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to learn more and more and more about each other through life. Usually it's always the woman who drags the husband to therapy to get to know each other better. The men have a very hard time with that. They don't like to open up. And so, again, B'zchut Nashim Tzidkaniyot. So, yeah, there's a lot of work to do. But thanks to women, we'll be saved. Okay, so, because we're one more paragraph. So, God granted us one particular means which can bring men close to God more than anything else. This is the study of his revealed Torah. So before he spoke about the mitzvot, he spoke about we have to desire to be close to God. But here he said there's something that brings you closer to God and brings the energy like love and yira more than anything else. And that's the revealed Torah. Such study accomplishes this in two ways. First, through the reading of the Torah, and secondly, through its comprehension. So later on, he's going to have a whole paragraph that's in the fourth section towards the end, a whole thing on how learning Torah works and the condition for the learning of Torah to work. You know, people think, oh, I'm learning Torah and oh, I'm doing a mitzvah and I'm changing the world. No. It's not like that. It's a condition. It's like, yeah, you know, once I'm with my wife and we talk, yeah, we're going to love each other. It's going to be great. Really? Do you think that's that easy? No, it doesn't work like that. They are conditioned in a specific way. So two ways for the energy of Torah to change you. One, through reading it, and then you have to speak it. Just like you have to say, I love you to your spouse. If you don't say it with the words, it doesn't bring its full power. It doesn't work. Same thing with the Torah, you have to speak the Torah. And secondly, through its comprehension. We have to understand. Same thing like my spouse. If I don't understand my spouse better, deeper, I'm not going to be able to connect. So when we read it, that's why a lot of you always hear people, I mean, it's not a library, yeshiva is not a library, we speak out loud because the saying, the power, the saying has power, the word has power, and my understanding also has power. He's going to, I don't know if he does it here, he doesn't do it here, but later basic, well, let's see what he said first. In his love, God composed a volume of words decreed by his wisdom and bestowed it upon us. So now it's clarifying what it is that you can say that it's gonna actually activate something in your soul and in the spiritual world. This is the Torah and later works of the prophets making up the Bible as we know it, which is Tanakh. Even if you don't understand Tanakh, meaning I don't know, I'm just reading the Chumash or Navi or Ktuvim, it does something to your soul. There's something like people say, if you just read the Zohar and you don't understand it, does something. So Zohar is not technically included in that, but Mekubalim said that the Zohar is so holy that even if you just read it with understanding, it does something to your soul. There's a lot of Sfarim do that. Ashkenaz are not so much into that. But so that's for the activation of the energy of Torah, that just saying the words, the vibration, the combination of words, of letters, awaken something in your soul and brings a flow of Kedusha in the world, even if you don't understand it. These words have the unique property of causing one who reads them to incorporate in himself the highest excellence and greatest perfection. Without knowing it, you're perfecting yourself. The only condition is that they be read with holiness and purity, with the proper intent of fulfilling God's will. So again, this is a condition, meaning, yes, you don't have to understand it. You can read it just without understanding. But if you don't read it with holiness and purity, meaning you're reading like, oh yeah, it's interesting book where you speak about God. It's like you read it like someone who likes science. Oh, it's interesting how things work. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's not going to work. There's nothing going to happen with the words that come out of your mouth. Nothing's going to be perfect. You have to do it in a way that you understand it's serious. This is a holy book. This a combination of words that is designed by God to activate something in creation, in the atoms of creation, and into this energy and spirituality behind it. Yes. Question? Oh no. Okay. It was a voice from heaven, maybe. Okay, so.
Oh, sorry. No, I pressed mute by accident again. Sorry.
Hoping for that.
Don't we all? So I wanted to ask, because I know a lot of people say that like I'm part of a group on Shabbat, for example, that they say Tehillim, and it's a group of women that finish the book of Devarim also on Shabbat. So they say like the book of Devarim, like you could say it in English, like if you can't do it in Hebrew because it will take you too long and the parshiot are large, then it's fine to say it in English instead of Hebrew. But they say dafka, the Tehillim should be said in Hebrew, like even if you don't understand it, even if it's hard. So like I feel like this ties into what you're saying right now. I'm just wondering why exactly it is that way, just so that like I can understand what I'm doing.
What that way?
Meaning like why is Tehillim different than Torah, for example? Like why can you say Torah like in English, but Tehillim should be said really in Hebrew?
No. It's the same thing. Tehillim is part of Ketuvim in Tanakh. Therefore, what we're saying here applies to Tehillim. There's a difference if you learn the Torah in English and Hebrew. When you read the Torah in Hebrew, the Hebrew itself has an impact on you. It does what it says here. However, when you read it in English, you don't have the impact of the Hebrew. However, because you understand what you're saying, the understanding also is the second thing that activates that light. The ideal is to say in Hebrew and understand what you say, then you get the double flow of energy, the two ways that it's activated. It's like body and soul, right? So
right.
Right.
Got it.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's why we have to understand. That's the idea of learning Torah Lishma. Why you learn Torah because you're trying to connect to God and you do it with intention and you want to love God and you want to achieve the purpose of creation. So if you do for that, it's great. If you learn Torah to be just smart or for people to call you your Talmid Chacham, or because you want to have a good shidduch, or because you for any ulterior motives other than to bring perfection to the world and to come close to God, then you're not allowing the full energy, full power to work. And also if you're a sinner, meaning sinner that you constantly do negative things, you have bad character traits, right? Then you're not pure, then your learning Torah doesn't work. It doesn't train you. So someone who would be learning in kollel all day, right, or in yeshiva all day, but he is constantly going after his taivos, so he run to eat food and he eat more than he's supposed to, or he runs after women, or he whatever it is that is not good character traits, then his Torah doesn't work. So he says the words and even he understands, but nothing happens, or very, very little. And that's when Kabbalah, they say that the forces of Tumah, the Klipot, come and take whatever little seed of light was coming out from his mouth, or his intention, and they trap that. It's put into a prison until he does teshuvah, and change his ways, in which case then he's able to release those lost seed, wasted seed that the klipot took because it was not properly directed or was not done with purity. So similarly, when one strives to understand these works, either through his own, so we were speaking about just speaking now he's going into the understanding. When he understands these works, either through his own intellect or through the explanations provided in their commentaries, he can earn even greater perfection according to his effort. So technically, you don't need to speak things when you read a book in English, because it's not part of that. It's just the understanding. That's like they say, if you learn Gemara, or Gemara is not part of Tanakh, there are verses there that you could read, that part of Tanakh, but the whole Gemara discussion is not part of Tanakh. Therefore, if you just read Gemara all day, but you don't understand, nothing happens. You're not bringing energy. You have, because that's the type of work, you're reading it in order to understand something. It is great, by the way, to have a type of song melody when you read the Torah, right? The Torah, because Torah is like a song, it's shir. And it pushes us to read it and sing it to out loud. So most people have, and it's good to have your own tune also.
Rabbi, can I ask you a quick question? For davening, do you have to, I know that during Shemona Esrei you need to say it loud enough to hear yourself, but not loud enough that a person next to you can hear you. But does that apply for all of davening? Like I try and do it so that I don't like go on autopilot, but is it actually a requirement to hear yourself daven?
No, no. During Shemona Esrei, during Shemona Esrei, you don't have to, if someone is going to listen to you, is going to hear you, then you can even be quiet, even like just like really literal whisper. Nobody should hear you during Shemona Esrei. During the rest of davening, you need to pronounce it. You need to say it out loud. It doesn't matter if people hear you or not. You're not supposed to say too loud because you don't want to sound like a Balgaiva or or bother people, but you need to say davening out loud. The vibration of your words. Again, the Siddur is
Oh. I
Siddur,
literally had it backward. I thought that davening, like during the day, like that's the part you don't have to say out loud, but Shemona Esrei you have to hear yourself.
no,
But I guess all of davening you should be hearing yourself.
Yes. You understand the Siddur was made by prophets. The Siddur is the ladder to achieve prophecy. The combination of psalm and letters that are in the Siddur activates something when you read them out loud. We need to understand that it's also a code, just more like when you read the Torah. So when you sing that and when you say it, it activates those energies in different worlds, different dimensions. And in your soul, remember that most of davening is Tehillim. So most of davening is writings from the Tehillim or from the Torah. So you're reading literally Tanakh when you daven. So therefore, you're activating something, and you need to say it out loud. Absolutely, it doesn't have to be very out loud. You can make it more like a whispering type of thing, but understand that the vibration that comes out, it's a butterfly effect. It's a ripple effect. It goes out and has substance. We're transforming thoughts into vibrations, spiritual, untangible, spiritual into, we give it a body, a physical existence in this world. This way you create a malach. You create the baby with every word you say.
Thank you.
With pleasure. Basically, you're giving birth to your thought. Imagine that your mouth is a womb, and then the thoughts that you read is like the baby, and when it comes out, you're giving birth to babies. In Kabbalah, the mouth is malchut, so it corresponds to the female organ, and therefore you're literally giving birth to spiritual babies.
So Rabbi, also connecting back to your earlier shir where you said that there's like 3 types of people, someone who does something stam for the love of God, somebody who does something for reward, and then another person who does something because other people tell them they should be doing it. So they do it out of like pressure. So how does it work? Like, for example, a lot of people connect to prayer because like they need something in life. So they use prayer as a catalyst to ask, which is like, it's the best way to pray because like then you're really speaking to Hashem. But like, doesn't that play into the whole like, you know, reward system? Because like you're doing it to get something, right? So like, if you're supposed to pray and you're supposed to keep really clean intentions, but you're also supposed to ask for what you want. So like, which way is it supposed to be? And like, how can somebody who's like really asking for something, let's say every day, train their brain to kind of like know the difference and when to say what? And I don't know. Yeah.
Right. So you're right. Technically, we should not wait for the Siddur or for the time of davening to pray. And we should not wait till we need something to ask for something. I don't know if that makes sense. But we shouldn't wait to need something to speak to God. So it even says in many places that the greatest segula to have everything you need is to constantly praise God and thank God for everything you have. Because what does God want? What does my spouse want? My spouse wants me to communicate all the time. She doesn't want to have to do signs, so I start communicating with him or her. So I need to, God wants me to initiate the conversation. He wants me to seduce the other, right? God likes to be seduced. And he likes to seduce us, Shir HaShirim. So we have to understand that this is part of the thing. Even says, before we go to war, what did we pray? What we used to pray before we go to war? We used to pray Hallel. Hallel is supposed to pray before, but I don't understand. We didn't win yet. You go to war with God, and you're praising already that you're with God and that you're going to be successful because you're with God, right? So we should not wait only for negative things to happen. We should it says in Bilbavi Mishkanevne from Rabbi Schwartz in his book, he says that David HaMelech says, "V'ani tefillah, I am prayer." We have to become beings of prayer, not someone who prays once in a while. Meaning that, if you take the letters of Adam, Aleph, Dalet, Mem, and you take the hidden letters called Milui in Gematria Kabbalah, it's spelled, so let's say you have Adam, right? Aleph is Aleph, Lamed, Pei. Dalet is Dalet, Lamed, Taf. And then you have Mem is Mem, Mem. So you take those letters, it's spelled Mitpalel. Because the whole idea of man, Adam, his essence is to pray. And like we said before, in the 4 dimensions, the 4 levels, is a medaber. A man is called medaber. Your main power, what makes you human, what makes me know you, what makes me discover you, is what you say. If I just look at the body and you don't say anything, you're not revealing anything about yourself. How will I get to know you? Okay, this body language. Body language is very limited because you don't move. I don't know anything about you. You need to reveal what's inside of you. How do you reveal what's inside of you? By speaking to me. So that's how communication works. That's why in every marriage or relationship, communication is key. And with God, the same thing. God says, speak to me, communicate with me, tell me everything that you feel, all the bad, all the good, all the worries, all that, because I want to hear from you. I want to have a relationship with you. And therefore, our whole day is supposed to become prayer. Our whole day is talking to God for anything, because he's with you. He wants to know you. He wants to know what's, is the problem. The human beings are like the guy who comes back from work and the wife says, "Oh, so how was your day?" "Great, thanks." "No, but how was your day?" "Yeah, it was like regular." No, but right. So the men, they don't. Most men don't like to communicate. Just she wants to know, how did you feel today? Anything happened? How do you date? Because that language, that communication is love. I want to know what's inside of you, what you're feeling, Otherwise, I don't get to know you. If you just say, fine, everything's good, I'm okay. Then even in therapy, we learned today. I learned today in therapy. So you ask a client, how you doing? And he says, fine. Okay, no, that's terrible. You cannot answer that. That doesn't count. You have to express your inner feeling, thoughts, struggle, all that. That's a real communication. That's really revealing inside of you. That's really opening up and becoming one with someone. It's the only way to know them. So Hashem says to do the same thing with me. Open yourself to me. So, and that's why it's so important. Rav Nachman of Breslov was very strong into saying your own prayers. Yes, the prayer of the Siddur are very important. There's special lights, but make sure you pray your own prayer. Say your own, from what's inside of you, what you feel. The Anshe Knesset Agdola didn't know what you felt, so they put everything as a general thing, but you need to open up with your own personal self. Become intimate with God. What means becoming intimate with God? Is tell him your most deepest thing, your most deepest fear, your deepest challenge, about your Yetzirah, everything. Then you become intimate with God. And so he says, he finishes, just make sure I didn't keep it. So this is even more true when one attains a grasp. So this is even more true when one attains a grasp of the secrets and mysteries contained in these works. Meaning, so it says there's a level, you understand what the Parsha says, but once you go into Kabbalah, understand the deeper meaning of what's hidden behind the stories and behind the laws, then you have even more light coming out. In each of these concepts that one understands fixes and integrates a certain degree of the highest levels of excellence and perfection in his soul, right? It's as if to say that when someone, because I'm learning in school now to become a social worker. So in therapy, is one of the things that it's called retrieval therapy. Like when you speak, and you speak about the trauma you had, and the therapist slowly in a healthy way tries to go deeper into you, to what you have forgotten, to what you have hidden within yourself, and then by bringing little by little everything that is deeply hidden inside, the deep fear and the deep struggle and balance, emotional struggle, then little by little the person fixes himself. So it's the same thing. He's become rebalanced. He's able to understand what's happening in his inner system, his inner mechanism, and he's able to perfect himself like that. So it was the same. Through all these acts, man not only earns excellence and perfection for himself, but he also elevates and perfects the entire fabric of creation. Olam Katan, a man is a miniature micro world. When this is happening on me, it's happening all over the world too, in a way that we cannot really understand. We understand that when Moshiach comes, it explains to you how it works. This is particularly true in the case of the study of Torah. So mitzvos and using the world in the right way and loving God and Yira all elevate us and perfect us. But when we actually learn Torah, it has a light, a unique power that is, it fixes more, faster, stronger than anything else. That's why there's so much emphasis on learning Torah as a Jew, and that we have to make sure that when we are not involved with the world, we spend most of our time learning Torah, because that's what perfects the world to its max, and ourselves. Any questions, comment, argument? Does everybody agree?
I'd like to say something about. It was very interesting. I don't know if everybody knows this, but there was somebody once taught me intimacy. She split up the word is into me see. That's what creates intimacy.
That's beautiful. I've heard it also before. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yes, thank you. That's into me, see what's into me. Absolutely. And
That's intimacy.
the key is like seeing is not always easy. Sometimes it's seeing through hearing what you say. And but yes, trying able to discover into who the other is deeply. So yes, thank you. That's beautiful. Any other comment or questions? No? Okay, beautiful. Now we know what we have to do to become perfect and lovers of God. So may this inspire us to show God that we love him and that we need him, that he needs to rebuild the Bet HaMikdash, and we don't want anymore to have the 9 days. We have enough. And we want to be all singing in Yerushalayim all together with Moshiach. So Bezat Hashem, next class in Jerusalem.
Thank you
Amen.
so much.
My pleasure.
Happy Rosh Chodesh.
Happy Rosh
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good
Thank you,
Chodesh.
Rabbi.
Thank you. My pleasure. Bye.